up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I'm driving a 1992 Ram 150. Up front is a 5.2 liter V8, and down below is a 3-speed automatic with overdrive. If you'd like to read more of my thoughts, head on over to carmarshal.com/overdrive, where I'll be writing a complete article about the Ram 150, as well as you guys should be watching this video in 4K. But let's get back to the 318 cubic inch V8. Well, this isn't the most popular V8. The 5.9 was sort of the king daddy of the V8s that came in the Rams, but this is still a pretty sizable V8, and it's still a pretty good sounding V8 in my opinion. But this truck might sound a little bit different because it actually has the muffler from an R32 Skyline just coming out the side. The owner cut a hole in the side, and that's now a side exit exhaust. Give her the beans. Let her eat. And like I said, it's paired to a 3-speed automatic with overdrive. It's a 90s automatic transmission. You can't really ask too much about it. It's shifted on the column. Nothing really too crazy there. And last but not least, this is 2-wheel drive. It's not the 4-wheel drive version. The one thing about driving this truck, though, is that the steering is so vague. I mean, I'm going straight and I'm turning the wheel almost 45 degrees and still going straight. It really does not give you any confidence whatsoever. And if you guys know, I used to own a second gen Dodge. It had that issue too, but not nearly as bad as this. This is bad. Now, it also does have a limited slip differential. Sometimes it locks up, sometimes it doesn't. It's an old truck. It has 188,000 miles. What can you really expect? So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 large gauge pods. In the middle, I have my speedometer. On the right is my oil pressure and fuel. And on the left is battery voltage and coolant temperature. Interestingly enough, on the steering wheel, there actually is controls for cruise control. I'm not sure if it works, but at least it had them. In the middle, I have where radio would be, but that has been since switched out to controls for the bag system. This truck used to be on bags. It's going to be on bags again soon. But right now for this video, it's actually not currently on air suspension. But down below that, you have the stock factory heating and cooling controls. Then down below that is an aftermarket radio that has been added after purchase. Other than that, it's a really bland interior. It's a bench seat, which you know I love bench seats. Super handy, but this truck was really made to be a farm truck. This is when trucks, were utilitarian. They weren't so comfortable and plush as they are today. If you might notice behind me, this truck is lowered, first of all, but you can see the gas tank is actually raised up in the back so that it'll clear and not scrape on anything on the ground. That's how low this truck is. Speaking of my second gen Dodge I used to have, there's a lot of shared parts. Now I know this one, I had a 98, so this one actually came before, so I guess the second gen shares a lot of parts with this. This is a first gen Ram, by the way. Like the gas pedal's the same, the ignition cylinder is the same. There's just a lot of shared common parts, which is of course meant to keep costs down for Dodge, as they're not the largest American company, but it's just funny to see those same little things. Now, being a car reviewer, I get asked a lot of what's a good first car for a car enthusiast? What's a good car, to get started on? I'm into cars and I'd like to get something that would reflect that. And my answer always is, it doesn't really matter. And I think this truck really shows that it doesn't matter. As long as you have that drive to work on it, to make it your own, to make it better than it was when you got it, as long as you have that instinct, that drive, really any platform will allow you to expand on that idea. And that's so true with this truck. This isn't a Bentley, it's not a Range Rover, but every time any of our friends see it, you just get happy because the owner, Matt, loves doing burnouts, as I'll show in a second. It's just a truck that just generates joy. Because it's so unique, because it's so fun, you're just always happy to see it. Every time I come up here to Michigan and I see this truck, I get happy, I get excited because I know that we're gonna have fun. So like I mentioned earlier, if you haven't seen my vlog or you haven't seen it on the channel, the owner Matt, which thank you Matt for letting me do this review, this is really, really cool. He's not scared to do a burnout or two. Jeez. Who's got beer? But going back to what I said earlier, I really, really like this square body. You know, I'm looking out at the hood right now and it's all patinaed and it has rust spots, but this is a truck. This is when trucks were trucks. They weren't meant to be daily drivers. You know, back in the late 80s, early 90s, which is really, this truck is a product of the 80s because Dodge didn't really change a whole lot between the 80s and the 90s. This truck was meant for hauling things, for being out on the farm, for never really touching asphalt all that much. This is when trucks were trucks, and I really, really like that. Yeah, these seats they're bouncy, they're comfortable, but I'm kind of sitting awkwardly. Like I said, the steering is super vague. I mean, like, you know, if you were gonna take this onto a track, it would be a nightmare. Yeah, it burns oil. It's got a big, inefficient V8. But you know what? It does its job, and it does it well. And that's what trucks used to be about before leather interiors and sunroofs and air ride suspension from the factory. Before all of that, this is when trucks were actual trucks, when trucks smelled bad and no one really liked them all that much, except for when people needed them. But really, when you're driving this thing, like I said, the steering's super vague. It's not the fastest thing in the world. It's loud. It's not the most comfortable. But you can't help but smile. And that's so important, is that it's just so smile-inducing that you're gonna have a good time in and around this truck. When you make it your own, like Matt has made it his own, it becomes something special. And this thing is so special and so fun. So if you're out there, if you're watching this review, you don't have a car of your own, but you'd like to get into cars, you'd like to work on cars, it doesn't really matter where you start. As long as you enjoy the process, enjoy building it, and you build something that you like, that makes you happy, that makes your friends happy, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And that's what's so fun about this truck. So thank you, Matt, for letting me do the review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really like to. Take care, guys. Cause aside from my soul,